Meet me. Welcome back, boys. And we have a fun little video today. We've been doing that Should You Pull series, but today we're going to create a Should You Pull master list so that one video, anytime, like this is for you newer players out there. Experienced players won't need this at all, but for you newer players just joining the game, there's 200 plus heroes in the game now. Wouldn't it be nice if you could go to a single video and find out if they're worth it or not? So, again, caveat, this is being recorded September 20th, 2021. So, if there were buffed units afterwards or new units or whatever, obviously this won't apply. So just listen to that date. Anything, within the next few months, it should be reasonably accurate. And let's just get started. So, I guess we're going to use this tier maker thing. And I guess we gotta invent tiers. So, God tier. This is the kind of units that are super meta, super strong, that you should be striving to get. And again, I want to mention that sometimes heroes can move between tiers, depending on buff. So just keep that in mind. Second one will be pretty swell. That means they're pretty good units. They're situational, but in that situation, they're quite strong. Middle tier will just be meh. That means like they're all right. If you're desperate, they can be used, but they're not great all around. This one will be like pretty gross, where maybe they have some very niche use in PvE or something, but in general you shouldn't be excited if you pull them. And the last one, that's green, so it's called Violet, and that's the worst one. All right, so let's just get started. There's a lot of heroes, and we'll try to just go through all of them. And I'm going to try to, I'm not going to be able to describe every hero in detail in one video. There's 200 of them. If you want more specifics, try to see if I have a review on that specific hero. If not, just type it into YouTube. I'm sure someone will have something on it. I'm going to try to spend less than like 20 seconds on each hero. Let's just go from the beginning. Acades, meh. Guild Wars, she's actually really good, but in general, she almost belongs here, but alright, fine, we'll give her pretty swell. Adley, pretty gross. There were some troll people using that for a while in arena defense. A-Roz used to be pretty damn good, now he's meh. Nobody knows what that hero does. There's a lot of heroes, like, people are going to trash talk this video and say, how could you give someone a bad rating if you don't even know what they do? Guys, if I don't know what they do, there's a good reason for that. It means I've never run into it at the highest tiers, which means nobody thinks that they're good. And generally, it's going to be 3 stars. For those of you new players, most 3 stars without specialty changes are absolutely not viable anyway because their base stats are too low. Definitely Violet tier. This used to kind of be God tier, but gross, pretty good for Wyvern though. Gross, pretty good for Banshee 13. Pretty swell. I feel like we kind of need, and I feel like meh sounds like they're bad, right? I feel like meh's a little mean. Mia. Yeah, Mia. Mia sounds kind of more positive. We're gonna make it Mia. Gross used to be, this used to be here, right? But now, I hear post buff, she's actually really good, so we'll put her in swell. Kind of gross. Some people tried to play around with him for a while. Meh. Gross. Pretty much the only people who are going to use this, maybe here. Like, some anti-cleavers will troll with A-Cart, but in general, yeah. Alright, A-Coli, kind of Mia. Nobody knows what that does. What is that? Azali? Man, I want to put him in God, but maybe not. Putting this thing Violet tier, gross tier, pretty swell. Alright. Violet. Yeah. Kind of gross. Kind of gross. Yeah, I feel like we need more tiers, but we're going to keep this simple. Yeah, probably Violet tier. Gross. Nobody knows what that does. God. I'm assuming that's just going to be the same as the specialty change one. Violet. Yeah. Mia. 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 I feel like some of these are not that, well, whatever, close enough. I feel like it's very hard. I feel like there needs to be like 10 tiers to correctly describe some of these things, but close enough. I mean, CDOM is kind of like god tier for a cleaver, right? So the cleave heroes like Celeste, CDOM, things like that. Just keep in mind it might be a little biased there. Charles is gross. LQC's pretty swell. Man, Charlotte almost belongs in god tier now, right? Clarissa, you can actually one-shot Wyvern 13 with her as an SSP replacement, but gross. Mia. I mean, see, Clarina is god tier in PvE. If you're a new player, you can still use that, but in general, all right, fine. I mean, she's so good at PvE, we'll put her in gross tier. I need to make sure that. Okay, this is close enough. I'm like starting to run out of room where I can actually see the units. Let's just scroll down. You'd rather see the units I'm placing than tier list, right? We could scroll back to it. Oh, remember when Corvus was broken? Now he's Violet tier. Ciarman, pretty swell. Crozet, Violet. Dark Corvus, Mia. Destina, Mia. Tien's kind of fallen off. We'll still put her in pretty swell. Dingo, all I know is he eats people. Dizzy. Man, no one really uses Dizzy anymore. Gross. Mia. No one knows what that does. We'll put this gross. She's in some meme teams. Gross. Mia. Violet. Violet. Yeah, pretty swell. Mia. Flurry's fallen off so much, but okay. Gross. I mean, some things will go in gross instead of like Furious has no place in PvP, but he is very solid for building a Wyvern team. I think G Perch belongs in God tier. I still think he's that good. Gunther, gross. Pretty swell. Man, BMH and Sinful in the same tier though? We're moving Sinful down to Mia. Uh, Violet, 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 Mia. Gross, gross. Well, of course he has to go in his own tier, right? That's Violet. Um, PvE hero, gross, gross. Kind of gross. I mean, for budget cleaving, fine. Gross PvE, gross. I actually don't know Cowrick that well. I hear he's pretty good now, so we'll put him in Mia. Gross, terrible, yeah, no one's really going to use Kiki Rat. Kyrus goes in gross for PvE. Terrible, pretty swell. Oh, the specialty changes show up twice. We got to ignore those now. Gross, gross, gross. Mia. I actually think Rowan is pretty swell. Gross, Violet, Violet. Stupid specialty changes, Violet. Luna. I mean, people are saying she's good now, right? I still think she's going to belong in Mia at best. Gross. Fire Mercedes, I actually don't know. We'll stick her in Mia. I know she's gotten a lot of popularity after the buffs. Fire Maya, Mia. These we all did already, but the specialty changes show up again. Silverblade, kind of gross. FCC, I think she still belongs in God. A Momo. Mia, decent budget. Gross. No one knows what that is. No one knows what this is. Gross. Pavel almost belongs in God tier at the moment. He's just all over the place. Gross. Gross. People always argue me on Blaze Dingo. He's garbage. I don't care what any of you say. Ravi, pretty swell. Mia. Mia. She's already up there. This is getting confusing. Whoever made this has to only keep one. Who's not going to specialty change their heroes? Rin. Oh, God, I hate her. I'm going to put her gross, but I have lost to her a bunch of times. She's my kryptonite. Rose. Mia. She actually used to be pretty good. We'll just put that in cleave tier. Ruel, pretty swell. Kisei, pretty swell. Maid, no question there. S tier. Mia. Kayron used to be very high up, but You know, we all know what happened to him. Acid, I kind of believe like he's pretty swell. Sigrid, grosser PvP. Again, we're not really trying to talk too much here. We're trying to fill out this list. The hell, Butcher Corpse. Remember when Axe God was good? We'll just put him there. Spez. I think he belongs a tier below Mia. Tama, she would be here for PvE, but PvP, we're going to really put her in Violet tier. Pretty terrible. You know, I am just going to fill this out because it's annoying me. All the specialty changes that I already did, I'm just going to put them in gross for now. Like, Carrot is in gross, but we already have the real one, so ignore the specialty changed ones. I just want to get them off this list. Soul, gross. Sven, oh, he's hilarious. He's like a weird Kayron-esque hero, but Fire Tenebria, we'll put that in gross. Troublemaker, Mia. Tywin. Flan just dumpstered all over Tywin. I feel bad for him. Elfel, I actually think that's pretty gross. Green Village kind of cleave tier. I'm putting RB in God tier. Oh, S10A, easy God tier. Vivian, gross. She's like unseen in PvP now. Leo, ain't nobody knows what that does. Yafine, Yuna, gross. Some high tier players actually use that. Shu? Does anyone use her? We'll put her in gross. Crescent Moon Rin, Anti Cleave sometimes, or Valen, Violet tier. Landy, God. Pretty swell. I know, ain't nobody knows what that does. Cleave Hero. Glenn's garbage, 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 garbage. Tomoka. She's kind of not that popular anymore. Opsig's pretty swell. We already did Doris, right? So we'll do that. Mort, I don't know. Probably gross. Mia for Archdemon. Pretty swell for Fairy Tale. Politis, Cleavish, or Anti-Cleave. Closer Charles will put in Mia. Delabet, gross. Violeteer. Amelia. I don't know. I think she might actually belong in God tier. Pretty swell Rem. Is this more accurate? I don't know. I feel like Amelia is really strong. Mediator Cowrick. I'm going to put him gross. This is PvE hero. Villanab, pretty garbage. Don't even know what these things do. Ram, PvE only, really. Senya? Some Senyas are pretty scary. Alright, we'll be generous with Senya. We'll put her in the medium tier. Gross for Solitaria. Strays, pretty swell. I don't even know what that is. Alright, so this is the condensed should you pull tier list here. Now let's see if we need to make any corrections. I mean, I'm sure if I did this like 20 times in a row, every single time there would be slight changes depending on what I ate for lunch and that kind of stuff. But it should be pretty close, plus or minus one tier. So God, what do we think about this? Carrot, RB, Landy, S10A, G Purge, Amelia, Pavel, FCC Maid? Yeah, yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty accurate. I think all of these heroes are pretty hotly contested top tier heroes. Acades, I mean, she's good. Like Guild Wars often, she's real. I don't think she belongs in the second to top tier. A Tywin, Basar, Dien, C. Armin, Sage Ball, Epoch Ravi. I don't know about this, but this is, I'm just going off what people are telling me. Charlotte, LQC, Cerise, Chamzy, Rem, Ruel. I think these are reasonable. If anything, SSB probably doesn't show up as much as the other ones, but it's SSB. We'll give her time in the sun. Ravi, I mean, Ravi's probably a little less picked than she used to be, especially with Rem's running around, but whatever. Close enough. These heroes, I feel like, yeah, these are all heroes that could pop up in a draft, and they're pretty good when they're picked, but they're not picked as often as the ones in the two higher tiers. I mean, Lilius is barely picked anymore. I think reasonably fair. I'm kind of confused about the Mercedes. I have not really built her. I know some people really love using Fire Mercedes with her crazy buffs now, but honestly, I just don't know that much about her. Now, were we too mean to any of the heroes? Let me just make sure you guys are on the same screen as mine. So we're looking at the gross tier. I don't think so. I think pretty much all of these heroes are things you would barely see. Maybe Kitty. We'll put Kitty Clarissa in the front of gross. I think everything else is reasonably. I remember this is not a PvE tier list. Like something like this is perfectly legitimate. This is obviously God tier Sigrid for Wyvern 13, but this is a PvP tier list. All right, let's scroll down. This is Violet tier. Does everything in Violet tier belong to be as like? Is it fair to call them as disgusting as Violet? Definitely, definitely. Yeah, ain't nobody gonna run into any of this garbage in RTA. I mean, remember, ignore the specialty changes. Carrot, we already had her. She's God tier. Valen, Penelope, Christy, Camille, Leo. Yeah, I think it's pretty fair to say you're not going to run into any of this junk in RTA except this, but you know we'll put him in the front of his own tier. So all right, this is the squirrely simple tier list here. Obviously, it's not 100% accurate, but it's reasonably close. So the way you should look at this is that in any given banner, if the hero that's up there is somewhere near the top of this list, you should probably highly consider taking that hero. Now, again, this is a PvP tier list, so if you're not interested in PvP at all, which is kind of unusual for this game, but if you really aren't, then you can't follow this tier list. Like for example, Sage Ball, Basar are pretty useless in PvE, so you clearly wouldn't want them. But if you are interested in PvP at some point, these are kind of the heroes you would definitely want. I mean, some of them are specialty changes, so you should have them anyway. But in general, I think this list is 87.62% accurate. Valencia's kind of fallen off. Sid. Yeah. All right, so let's just scroll through this list very slowly, real quick, so that you guys get a sense. And for you newer players out there, if you ever are, in doubt about a hero, just come back to this list, try and find your hero, and hopefully that will help you come to a decision on whether that hero is worth it or not. So, anyways, that's the video. If you guys disagree with any of these heroes and the tiers they are in, you're wrong. Anyways, till next time, boys, peace out.